Shalom, beloved family. It's your girl Sophia Spiritual Light, and we're here with another Activating the Fruits lesson. And this is actually um, a continuation of my lesson from earlier, because at the end of that lesson, I was wondering, you know, what is common law? Everyone's talking about common law, but no one is saying what common law is. So, after talking to one of the beloved sisters and just doing some digging, saying, well, what is this stuff? You guys, this stuff is like been in front of our face the whole time, and I'm sure if there's any millennials listening, you're extremely aware of the Magna Carta, especially from Jay-Z, because he had an album with it on there, and it was kind of like right in front of our faces. So I had heard of the Magna Carta, but I never read it. I just heard about it, or like in school, they gloss over it, but they don't tell you that it is literally the basis of common law. It is what common law is based off of. And so I thought it was important to get this message out there. I'm going to read the whole Magna Carta and do a little bit of the thing that I do with looking up the words and stuff like that. So this video is going to bounce around a little bit, but I hope that by the end of it, everyone gets an understanding of where your rights come from, what law governs you as a person, and what that means for you. So let's start with this is how I actually found it. It's a website, commonlaw.earth, and let's read what it says about there. The Magna Carta, Great Charter, is an 800-year-old document from Europe's Middle Ages, which you know that's our people. Yet, surprisingly, it still has relevance in common law today. Sealed on the banks of the River Thames on the 15th of June, 1215. Super weird that they have that date in 1215. Let's see, that's 6 and 3, 9. So we have 6, 6, 9. Okay, we can stop the lesson right here. The date is 669. It's 999. Anyway, the Magna Carta originally forms the foundation of our rights. Originally a treaty between King John of England and the rebel barons, it's a document which over many centuries has shaped the exercise of power, the rights of the people, and the role of law. And so this one refers to um, specifically to Australia, but this is the basis of our common law even today. So let's take a gander at it. So I got this from, you see this website, reclaimliberty.com. I'll leave the link in the description. I'll put the other link in the description too. And this is the full text, and as you can see here, this is what it looks like when it's written out. And this is just a nod to this is the earlier. I think I was talking about how diplomas were written in Latin on a piece of paper. I'm pretty sure this is what they got. Even better than a spell book, which I may do a whole lesson on that, a quick lesson on that diploma stuff. But um, long story short, for everyone else, the first diploma was given at Harvard University, 1642, I believe, and it was written entirely in Latin, and it's called the Book of Arts. Y'all already know what arts means, but it was written entirely in Latin. And they didn't get to keep the diploma. They have to actually give it back. And then eventually they got ones that they could keep, and they were bound with a red string written on sheepskin. Y'all know what time it is. And it had to be signed by you had to pay to get them signed by the headmaster, who obviously was doing something which we all know, but I won't go into that. So this is written on 669. 669. Okay. You cannot, okay, cannot make this stuff up, right? 669. The fact that they have that date is sort of shocking anyway. So, anyway, I'm going to read the whole thing. John, by the grace of God, King of England. John, by the grace of God, King of England, Lord of Ireland, Duke of Normandy, and Aquitaine, Count and Naho and his archbishops, bishops, abbots, earls, barons, justices, foresters, sheriffs, stewards, servants, and to all his officials and loyal subjects, greeting. Know that before God, for the health of our soul and those of our ancestors and heirs, to the honor of God, exaltation of the Holy Church, and the better ordering of our kingdom, at the advice of our revered father Stephen, Archbishop of Canterbury, Primate of all England, and the Cardinal of the Holy Roman Church, Henry, Archbishop of Dublin, William, Bishop of London, Peter, Bishop of Winchester, Jocelyn, Bishop of Bath and Glastonbury, Hugh, Bishop of Lincoln, Walter, Bishop of Worcester, William, Bishop of Coventry, Benedict, Bishop of Rochester, Master Pandolf, Sub-Deacon and member of the Papal household, Brother Emmerich, Master of the Knighthood of the Temple in England, William Marshall Earl of Pembroke, William Earl of Salisbury, William Earl of Warren, William Earl of Arundel, Alan of Galloway, Constable of Scotland, Warren Fitzgerald, Peter Fitzherbert, Hubert de Bilber, Seneschal of Paul Poitou, Hugh de Neville, Matthew Fitzherbert, Thomas Bassett, Alan Bassett, Philip de Benny, Robert de Ropley, John Marshall, John Fitzhugh, and other loyal subjects. 1. First, that we have granted to God. First, that we have granted to God, and by this present charter have confirmed for us and our heirs in perpetuity that the English Church shall be free, and shall have the rights undiminished and liberties unimpaired, that we wish this so to be observed, appears from the fact that our own free will, before the outbreak of the present dispute between us and our barons, we granted and confirmed by charter the freedom of the church's elections. Um, a right reckoned to be the greatest necessity and importance to it, and caused this to be confirmed by Pope Innocent III. This freedom shall we observe ourselves, and desire to be observed in good faith by our heirs in perpetuity. What does this mean? Forever and always. This is not something that has ended. It's forever. This is a literal um, pact that is cannot be overturned. And let's look at that word church real quick. I looked that up here in our etymology dictionary, and the church is derivation. I was right, from the Greek word, which is the Lord's house, has been impugned because it's not understood how a Greek term should have made its way among Gothic nations. We already know how that is. It is certain, however, that this term was used in the sense of church. The canon of the Sixth Council prescribes the Sixth Council is from 600. Okay, just know, I think that's what that means. And this is some Greek words. And Zonaris, in commenting on the passage, says that the name, whatever that is frequently found in sense of a church, although only this canon directly distinguishes the first word from the second word. But I think he adds that the whatever letter is not there used distinctly, but the way of explanation, quoted by Max Miller in Times newspaper. Um, Something is confessedly the very form to which Greek would have given rise, carrying scruples to extravagant length to doubt the identity of two words, because we do not know how the Greek name came to be employed instead of the Latin equivalent Dominicum, whence Dominicat is a church, basically. So what they're saying is the Lord's house. And I only point that out because we are the Lord's house. We are the house of wisdom, the indwelling of the Shekinah. That refers to us, we the people. That's the only reason why I point that out, so that you understand the Church of England are the people. There is no church without the people. We are the church. That's well established in the Bible. Nobody has to, we don't have to go into great detail about that. I couldn't find the scripture that I was thinking about anyway when I read that. But the first thing you need to understand is this is refers to all the people, and this is permanent forever to anyone who comes after these people. That's who this common law refers to. All right. I'm going to go to this next paragraph. To all free men of our kingdom, we have also granted for us and our heirs forever all the liberties written out below, to have and to keep them and their heirs of us and our heirs. So basically, they're saying that's not just them who are written this, but to all free men, and you all are born free. Okay, that's after our discussion earlier. Who your rights are granted from the Most High. He is the grantor of the trust, and you are the beneficiary of the trust, and the angels are the trustees. And so this refers to you as a free man who's sovereign person. Okay, um, that particular phrase is in the Black Pullet. That's where I get that particular phraseology from. Okay, if you have not read that, I highly suggest it. It's on Big Levi's website. Okay, number two, if any earl, baron, or other person that holds lands directly of the crown for military service shall die, and at his death his heir shall be of full age and old relief, the heir shall have his inheritance on payment of the ancient scale of relief. That is to say, the heir or heirs of an earl shall pay £100 for the entire earl's barony, the heir or heirs of a knight hundreds, at most for the entire knight's fee, and any man that owes less shall pay less, in accordance with the ancient usage of fees. 3. But if the heir of such a person is under age, and a ward, when he comes of age, he shall have the inheritance without relief or fine. And that quote in there, the relief is the relief to the crown, meaning you're not going to pay for it. You're going to have it. So if heir, so let's go back really quick. So number two says if somebody dies in war, that they will get their full inheritance and without paying more than $100. That's what you have to understand, or £100 or whatever. And for a night, it's 100 at the most. And if you're underage person or ward, when you come of age, you shall have inheritance without relief, with no pay for nothing. Number four, the guardian of the land of an heir who is under age shall take from it only reasonable revenues, customary dues, and feudal services. He shall do this without destruction or damage to men or property. If we have given the guardianship of the land to a sheriff, or to any person answerable to us for the revenues, and he commits destruction or damage, we will exact compensation from him, and the land shall be entrusted to two worthy and prudent men of the same fee, who shall be answerable to us for revenues, or to the person whom we have assigned them. If we have given or sold anyone the guardianship of such land, and he causes destruction or damage, he shall lose the guardianship of it, and it shall be handed over to two worthy and prudent men of the same fee, who shall be similarly answer to us. And when they say this term fee, they mean nobility title, meaning of the same race, basically, or the same kind, or the same stature. That's what they mean when they say fee. It's not like the price. It's your stature. If you have the same stature. Okay. Number five. For so long as a guardian has guardianship of such land, he shall maintain the houses, parks, fish preserves, ponds, and mills, and everything else pertaining to it, from the revenues of the land itself. When the heir comes of age, he shall restore the whole land to him, stocked with plow teams and such implements of husbandry as the season demands, with the revenues from the land can reasonably bear. So what they're saying there is They have to maintain it. They have to. Okay, so if you apply this to trust terms, basically they have to keep your trust, they have to keep money in it, and they have to keep it ready for you to use. That's the number one requirement. And when you ask for it, they have to give it to you. Okay. Number six, heirs shall heirs may be given in marriage, but not to someone of lower social standing. Before a marriage takes place, it shall be known to the heirs next of kin. This is so that you don't marry outside of your race. Number seven, at her husband's death, a widow may have her marriage portion and inheritance at once without trouble. She shall pay nothing for her dower, marriage portion, or any inheritance that she and her husband held jointly on the day of his death. She may remain in her husband's house for 40 days after his death, and within this period her dower shall be assigned to her. That's Lord, like that whole has to do with the whole dowry system, right? All right, number eight. But so that's what they say. A widow can have her marriage portion and inheritance once without trouble. Okay. Number eight. No widow shall be compelled to marry so long as she wishes to remain without a husband. She must give security that she will not marry without royal consent if she holds her lands of the crown, or without consent of whatever other lord she may hold them of. Meaning, if she's the Grail Queen, if she's holding down the land for some lord or for some royalty person out there, then she just has to let them know if she's going to get married. And if she doesn't hold whoever she holds the land for, if it's her own land, then she don't have to let nobody else know. If she holds the land for somebody else, then she has to let them know this is in accordance with if you haven't done any looking at what was required when people did, um, well, it'll come up later and I'll mention it. Okay. That was eight. Okay, number nine. Let me scroll up. All right, number nine. And we do have 60 sections, so I'm going to try not to go through this too much in depth. Neither we nor our officials will seize any land or rent payment of a debt so long as the debtor has movable goods sufficient to discharge the debt. A debtor's surety shall not be strained upon so long as the debtor himself can discharge his debt. For lack of means, the debtor is unable to discharge his debt, his surety shall be answerable for it. If they so desire, they may have the debtor's lands and rents until they have received satisfaction for the debt that they paid for him, unless the debtor can show that he has settled his obligations for them. All they're saying is that they can't take any of your stuff to pay your debt, right? They can't, once you have it in your possession, they can't take it to pay your debt, except for whatever you held for sureties. And that's kind of like where the surety bond and all of that comes into play, okay? Number 10, if anyone who has borrowed a sum of money from Jews dies before the debt has been repaid, his heir shall pay no interest on the debt so long as he remains under age, irrespective of whom he holds his lands. If such a debt falls into the hands of the crown, it shall take nothing except the principal sum of the specified in the bond. So what they're saying is, if you owe money to these people, the same, not the same. These are it, anyway, you would have to do some research on the bankers of the Venetian bankers in order to understand what that means really. But let's just put it out. Let's just say that it means exactly what it says. They're not allowed to take interest on the debt if you die. Okay, disallowed. Number 11. If a man dies owing money to Jews, his wife may have the dower and pay nothing towards the debt from it. If he leaves children that are under age, their needs may also be provided for on a scale appropriate to the size of the holdings of lands. The debt is to be paid out of the residue, reserving the service due to his feudal lords. Debts owed to persons other than Jews shall be dealt with similarly. So what they're saying is, um, if someone dies and they owe money, the wife keeps the money and pays nothing on the debt. And if they have children, their needs be paid for first, and then whatever is left, you pay your service to the feudal lords first, and then you pay on that debt. So basically, these two, 10 and 11, are why they don't want you to read the Magna Carta, because it says that they're not allowed to take, they cannot take interest, which is what basically this whole system is existing off of, and they can't take anything from you. So that whole taking your house for not paying your bills and all that stuff, they're not allowed to do that. That's against the law. So when I always say like they're breaking the cosmic law, they are literally breaking every law that there is. They know they're not supposed to do that at all whatsoever. So what do? They put it all in the fake system. Anyway, number 12, no scutage or aid may be levied in our kingdom without general consent, unless it is for the ransom of our person to make our eldest son a knight, and once to marry our eldest daughter. For these purposes only a reasonable aid may be levied. Aids from the city of London are to be treated similarly. Now let's look up that word aid. I do have here we go. In our etymology dictionary, aid means to help, or ajudar, and it says to help, but that's not what it means. Scutage, here we go, this is a better way for it, is a tax levied on a vassal or knight in lieu of military service. So it's a tax. When they say aid, they mean tax. When they say scutage, they mean tax. All right, let's go back to our document here. So, no tax may be levied on our kingdom without consent. They're not allowed to tax us unless we consent. So, they're again breaking the law tremendously. And taxes from the city of London are to be treated similarly. Number 13, the city of London shall enjoy all its ancient liberties and free customs, both by land and by water. We also will and grant that all other cities, boroughs, towns, and ports shall enjoy all their liberties and free customs. What does that mean? That means that everybody can do what they've always done. There's none of this crap that they're doing now, where some people get one law and then other people get another set of laws. All right, everybody gets their liberties and customs because the city of London gets them. Everyone else does. Number 14, to obtain the general consent of the realm. Now, this is where I realized that this was not talking about just what it's talking about. To obtain general consent of the realm is not, it's more specific in other places like the city of London. Now we're saying the realm. Okay, so this is not just talking about um, one particular area. This is everywhere. This is how you know it applies to everyone on the planet. For the assessment of an aid, a tax, except in three cases specified above, or tax, or scutage, which is a tax, we will cause the archbishops, bishops, abbots, earls, and greater barons to be summoned individually by letter. To those who hold lands directly of us, we will cause general summons to be issued through sheriffs and other officials to come together on a fixed day, of which at least 40 days' notice shall be given. 40 days' notice, that's interesting, isn't it? At a fixed place. In all letters of summons, the cause of the summons will be stated. When a summons has been issued, the business appointed for that day shall go forward in accordance with the resolution of those present, even if not all those who are summoned have appeared. What does that mean? If they want to do a tax, they're supposed to call all these people together and everyone has to agree on it, or the majority have to agree. You'll see that later on. And then they'll talk about whether they're going to charge a tax. That is not how our government works now. They don't just come in to talk about this tax. They come in and they make all kinds of legislation that has nothing to do with nothing. All right, number 15. In future, we will allow no one to levy a tax from his free men. They say levy an aid, but that means a tax from his free men, except to ransom his person, to make his eldest son a knight, and once to marry his eldest daughter. For these purposes, only a reasonable aid or tax may be levied. Number 16. No man shall be forced to perform more service for a knight's fee. And by fee, they mean um, kin, all right, or other free holding of land that is due from it. So they can't take money. Um, they just can't take money from you, other than free holding of land. Number 17. Maybe fee is different here. That's why we have to learn Latin. Anyway, number 17. Ordinary lawsuits shall not follow the royal court around, but shall be held in a fixed place, so that they can't have courts. They can't change your jurisdiction, and you got to figure out where they're going to have a court. They have to have it in a fixed place. All right, number 18. Inquests of novel dessein mort d'ancestor and Darien presentment shall be taken only in their proper county court. We ourselves, in our absence abroad, or Chief Justice will send 2 justices to each county 4 times a year, and these justices, with 4 knights of the county, elected by the county itself, shall hold the assizes in the county court on the day and the place where the court meets. What they say is they're supposed to have court fixed, and they're supposed to only have court in each county 4 times a year, as opposed to now you have court every single day. They're not supposed to have this much court. Number 19. If any assizes cannot be taken on the day of the county court, as many knights and freeholders shall afterwards remain behind of those who have attended the court, as will suffice for the administration of justice, having regard to the volume of business to be done. What that says is, once the court day is over, the people who are there, the leaders who in that area are the ones who are supposed to be conducting the court. Not the judges are supposed to just stay until it's done. No, if there's more business, it gets done by the people who are there, right? The upstanding people of the area. Number 19. If any assizes cannot be taken on the day of county court. Oh wait, I already said that. Number 20. For a trivial offense, a free man shall be fined only in proportion to the degree of his offense, and for serious offense correspondingly, but not so heavily as to deprive him of his livelihood. In the same way, a merchant shall be spared his merchandise, and a villain the implements of his husbandry, if they fall upon the mercy of a royal court. None of these fines shall be imposed, except by the assessment on oath of a reputable man of the neighborhood. Meaning, if you're accused of something, you have to be a reputable person who's seen it, what happened, and you have to be willing to um, say in court that you saw what happened, and then you're just fined something, not something that's going to end your whole life. Is that what they do now? Question mark. All right. Number 21. Earls and barons shall be fined only by their equals and in proportion to the gravity of their offense. What does that mean? That means that it's like they say in court, you're judged by a pair of your equals. Well, that's not what happens now. It is what happens, but it's not really what happens, because these people are not our equals, so we're not even being judged fairly. Number 22. A fine shall impose upon the lay property of a clerk in holy order shall be assessed upon the same principles without reference to the value of his ecclesiastical benefits, meaning that if something, if they charge a church person, it has to be, they have to use the same rules. They can't use different rules because the church person has more from the Pope or whatever. That doesn't do anything. They have to be fair to all people. Number 23. No town or person shall be forced to build bridges over rivers except those with an ancient obligation to do so. What does that mean? What does that mean? Where would you get an ancient obligation to build a bridge over a river? But basically, what that means is you don't have to build no bridges or deal with no highways or anything like that unless you have some sort of ancient obligation, something that's old, not something that they just voted on and all of a sudden you're paying for more roads and bridges forever and ever. All right, number 24. No sheriff, constable, coroners, or other royal officials are to hold lawsuits that should be held by royal justices. So these people can't file no lawsuits, period. Number 25. Every county, hundred, wapentake, and tithing shall remain at its ancient rent without increase, except the royal Dements manners. Basically, they can't raise the taxes. They have to charge the same amount without increase. This is forever. Like, they're never allowed to charge more. There should be zero inflation. Nothing should ever go up because the amount that they're allowed to charge is not allowed to go up by this Magna Carta. Number 26. If at death a man who holds lay a fee of the crown or tax. Fee is also tax too. There's a lot of taxes they try to do. A sheriff or royal official produces royal letters, patent of summons for a debt due to the crown. It shall be lawful for them to seize the and list movable goods found in the lay, fee, or tax of the dead man to the value of the debt assessed by worthy men. This is not just anybody. You have to be an upstanding person to assess this, and we'll see what the requirements are for an upstanding person at the end. All right, nothing shall be removed until the whole debt is paid, when the residue shall be given over to the executors to carry out the dead man's will. If no debt is due to the crown, all the movable goods shall be regarded as property of the dead man, except for the reasonable shares of his wife and children. And again, this refers to the crusade rules. This is like you this is crusade rule stuff. Which again, if you have never looked at what they had to do for the crusades, you might want to take a look at that. Number 27. If a man dies interstate, his movable goods are to be distributed by his next of kin and friends under the supervision of the church, which are the people. The rights of his debtors are to be preserved. Number 28. No constable or other royal official shall take corn or other movable goods from any man without immediate payment, unless the seller voluntarily offers postponement of this. What does that mean? That means that these right-of-way laws that the government is always taking land and doing whatever they want, they're not allowed to do that. Under common law, they're not allowed to do that. And yet they do this all the time. I've seen it myself with my own two eyes. Number 29, and they have to agree. Everyone has to agree. They can't do it if you don't agree. And yet they do it all the time. All the time. Number 29, no constable, I'm going to scroll up a little bit. No constable may compel a knight to pay money for the castle guard if the knight is willing to undertake the guard in person or with a reasonable excuse to supply some other man fit to do it. A knight taken or sent on military service shall be excused from castle guard for the period of his service, which basically means you can't you can't force a knight to guard the castle, and if he's gone, you can't basically tax him for not guarding the castle while he's gone, which is basically what they were doing. Number 30, no sheriff, royal official, or other person shall take horses or carts for transport from any free man without his consent. They can't take any of your stuff without asking you. Number 31. Neither we nor any royal official will take wood for our castle or for any other purpose without consent of the owner, meaning you can't go and confiscate. I mean, this is such a big deal. Ron Paul talked about this a lot with the whole confiscation of the by the government. It's ridiculous. They're not allowed to do that. We will not keep the lands of people convicted of felony in our hand longer than a year and a day, after which they shall be returned to the lords of the fees concerned, the taxes. So basically, they can't keep the lands of a people convicted of a felony. They can't keep the lands. And that's what basically they're doing that right now. Number 33. All fishware shall be removed from Thames midway and through the whole of England except on the sea coast. Number 34. The writ called precipice shall not in future be issued to anyone in respect of any holding of land, if a free man could thereby be deprived of the right of trial in his own lord's court. Meaning, what they're saying is they can't they they can't file any they can't really file anything against a person who own land, especially if it would keep them from being able to be tried at home. Basically, they can't keep you from being tried in your home. That's what they're saying by the people who know you. All right. Number 35, which they break that rule all the time. Number 35, there shall be standard measures of wine, ale, and corn, the London quarter, throughout the kingdom. There shall also have a standard width of dyed cloth, russet, haberjack, and namely 2 ells within the salvages. Weights are also standardized similarly. They don't follow this either. If you go to the grocery store, everything is different. They have ounces, and they don't tell you the ounces to pounds when you try and do I mean, I'm a shopper, so when you try to do the conversion between whether this is the same amount of weight as that is the same, you have to pull out your calculator and figure it out. So sometimes they have stuff in ounces, sometimes they have stuff in pounds, sometimes they have stuff in liters, and they don't tell you if the liters what it's this they completely they don't do this at all either. All right, so they don't have standard measures. They do have standard measures amongst the same similar items, but not when they don't have standard measures amongst all things, which would make more sense. Like if it's all going to be, at least in America, if it's all going to be in ounces, make it relative to ounces. If it's going to be in grams and milliliters, make it relative to grams and milliliters. But they have some stuff in grams, some stuff in milliliters, some stuff in liters, some stuff in ounces, some stuff in pounds, which pounds, ounces do equate to pounds, but they don't tell you that. So you have to know that when you go into the store. So they don't follow this. Number 36. In future, nothing shall be paid or accepted for the issue of a writ of inquisition of life or limbs. It shall be given gratis and not refused. Basically, you can't say that you're going to take somebody's life or limbs if they don't pay. That's what they're talking about, which we know the mob breaks that all the time. So do the cartels. All right, number 37. If a man holds land of the crown by fee farm or scorage or burrage, and also holds land of someone else for night service, we will not have guardianship of his heir, nor the land that belongs to the other person's fee by virtue of the fee farm, scourge, or burrage, unless the fee farm owes the night service. We will not have the guardianship of a man's heir or the land that he holds of someone else by reason or any small property that he may hold for the crown for service of knives, arrows, or the like. That's a whole lot, and I'm not going to get into it. Number 38. In future, no official shall place a man upon trial upon his own unsupported statement without producing credible witnesses to the truth of it. You can't just throw somebody in jail for something you say they did on paper. There needs to be a witness for that. And if there's no witness, there's no trial. So they break that all the time. Number 39. No free man shall be seized or imprisoned or stripped of his rights or possessions or outlawed or exiled or deprived of his standing in any way, nor will we proceed with force against him or to send others to do so, except by the lawful judgment of his equals or by the law of the land. What is the law of the land? This is the common law. They break this all the time. Number 40. To no one we will sell, to no one deny or delay right or justice. They break this all the time. They can't sell your right of justice. They can't deny. They can't delay your right of justice. They do this all the time. All the time. Number 41. All merchants may enter or leave England unharmed and without fear, and may stay or travel within it by land or water for purposes of trade, free from all illegal extractions in accordance with ancient and lawful customs. This, however, does not apply in time of war to merchants from a country that is at war with us. Any such merchants found in our country at the outbreak of war shall be detained without injury to their persons or property until we or our Chief Justice have discovered how our own merchants are being treated in the country at war with us. If our own merchants are safe, they shall be safe also. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So basically, this whole pandemic stuff that they're doing, totally breaking the common law. Number 42. In future it shall be lawful to any man to leave and return to our kingdom unharmed and without fear by land or water, preserving his allegiance to us, except in time of war for some short period for the common benefit of the realm, not just the country. Why do they use this term realm? Okay. People that have been imprisoned or outlawed in accordance with the law of the land, people from a country that is at war with us, and merchants who shall be dealt with as stated above are accepted from this position. So people can travel. They're literally saying you can go anywhere unharmed without fear by land or by water. That is your right. Number 43. If a man holds lands any estate such as the honor of Wallingford, Nottingham, Boulogne, oh, I wonder if that's where Boulay comes from, Lancaster, or other estates in our hand that are baronies, at his death his heir shall give us only the relief and that's the tax and the service that he would have made to the baron had the barony been left in the baron's hand. We will hold the estate in the same manner as the baron held it. That means they're gonna keep the land estate um, in the same way that they found it. They're gonna maintain it. Number 44. People who live outside the forest do not need not in the future appear before the royal justices of the forest in answer to general summons unless they are actually involved in proceedings or sureties of someone who has been seized for a forest offense. Meaning, if you're in the city, you don't have to worry about going to the forest to deal with the judges in the forest. And you can look at that as the north and the south too, or wherever your jurisdiction is. If you unless you committed a crime in that area, they cannot pull you in to hold you to some kind of court thing, which is they break that all the time too. Next, number 45. We will appoint as justices, constables, sheriffs, or other officials only men that know the law of the realm and are minded to keep it well. They break this all the time. The justices, constables, sheriffs, and officials do not know the common law. They do not know the law of the realm, which is the cosmic law. They know nothing. They only know the statutes, which is completely fraudulent. They break that every single day. Number 46. All barons who have founded abbeys and have charters of English kings or ancient tenure as evidence of this may have guardianship of them when there is no abbot, as is their due. Okay. Number 47. All forests that have been created in our reign shall at once be disafforested. Riverbanks that have been enclosed in our reign shall be treated similarly. What are they saying? If they planted a forest where there was no forest, they're going to take the trees down. If they close off a river that should have been flowing, they're going to open it up. They break this every day. Look at Lake Mead, look at Salt Lake, they held water where they wasn't supposed to be, and now the water is being returned to where it's supposed to be. So now we know why that's happening. Number 48. All evil customs relating to forests and warrens, foresters, warreners, sheriffs, their servants, or riverbanks and their wardens are at once to be investigated in every county by 12 sworn knights of the county within 40 days of their inquiry. The evil customs are to be abolished and completely irrevocably. But we, our Chief Justice, if we are not in England, are first to be informed, meaning they just have to let them know, notify that they're going to get rid of these evil customs, right? Number 49, which they never do, okay? Never. We will at once return all hostages and charters delivered upon up to us by Englishmen as security for peace or for loyal service. They're going to return the hostages which they haven't returned us yet, so they're breaking the law. Number 50. We will remove completely from their offices all the kinsmen of Gerald the Affy. In future, they shall hold no offices in England. The people in question are Ingolward de Sigolone, Peter, Guy, and Andrew de Chanceau, Guy de Sigogon, Geoffrey de Martingay, and his brothers, Philip Mark, and with Jeffrey, his nephew, and all of their followers. Let's take a brief pause and see what that means because I looked that up. Okay, so it says Gerard de Affy was written in the Magna Carta in 1215 as this guy. He was principal military commander and the lord from Affy sur Cher, now France. He possessed his own castle, arms, and a badge of a lion contrepassant qui retournait sa tête of Guyenne et Aquitaine, which and that was used by King Richard Coeur de Lion, under whom he is first referenced. He later seamlessly transferred to King John of England, 1211 to 1215, following the death of King Richard in 1199 at Siege de Chalos. He served King John in France as a commander of the Loche Castle, one of the last castles to resist Philip Augustus in Normandy. Daffy was captured by the French and being so highly valued by King John, ransomed back to England in return for 2,000 marks. He and his extended families and kinsmen were granted estates in England, and Daffy was appointed High Sheriff of Gloucestershire and Hertfordshire and the High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, and the Royal Forest in 1209. His rapid rise in the English court caused resentment amongst the English barons. He is mentioned critically in Clause 50 of the Magna Carta. So basically, what they're saying is, let's go back to the Magna Carta. Basically, what they're saying is, No foreigners can hold office. Period. None of them, no foreigners can hold office. That's what that is saying. And that's another reason why they don't want you to read this. No foreigners can hold office. Period. No foreigners. All right, number 51. As soon as peace is restored, we will remove from the kingdom all foreign knights, bowmen, and their attendants, and the mercenaries that have come to its harm with horses and arms. They have to go, okay? The two-thirds have to go. The Gentiles have to go. They have to get off the land. That's right here in the Magna Carta. Number 52. To any man whom we have deprived or dispossessed of lands, castles, liberties, or rights without the lawful judgment of his equals, we will at once restore these. In cases of dispute, the matter shall be resolved by the judgment of the 25 barons referred below in the clause for securing peace, clause 61. In cases, however, where a man was deprived or disposed of something without lawful judgment of his equals by our father, King Henry, or our brother, King Richard, it remains in our hands or is held by others under our warranty, we shall have respite for the period commonly allowed to the Crusaders. The Crusaders, that's what I was talking about earlier, unless a lawsuit had begun or an inquiry had been made at our order before we took the cross as a Crusader. On our return from the Crusade, if we abandon it, we would once render justice in full. And all this is saying that if they took anything from someone who was not, they did wrongly, especially if it was during the time when they had to leave and go to crusades, then they would at once make it right. They would make it right. And that's the Gentiles will never do that. They won't just make it right. Number 53. We shall have similar respite in rendering justice in connection with forests that are to be disafforested or to remain forests when these were first afforested by our father King Henry or our brother Richard, with the guardianship of lands in another person's fee tax, when we have hitherto had this by virtue of a fee or tax held of us for night service by a third party, and the abbeys founded in another person's fee or tax, in which the lord of the fee or tax claims owns a right. On return from crusade, or if we abandon it, we at once do full justice to the complaints around these matters, meaning they're going to resolve these problems about, the forest, dealing with how they decided to forest them or deforest them or whatever they did wrong, they're going to fix. Number 54. No one shall be arrested or imprisoned on the appeal of a woman for the death of any person except of her husband. No one shall be arrested or imprisoned on the appeal of a woman for the death of any person, meaning what they're saying is a woman cannot falsely accuse somebody except her husband is also part of that. So that's how you got the Emmett Till situation, because the husband said that the woman was a witness, and so they use common law when they want, and then when they don't want, they ignore it. I see now that's how it goes. Number 55, all fines. Now here they say fines, which is interesting. In other places, they say fees. I guess that's what they call them. All fines that have been given to us unjustly against the law of the land, which is this law right here, the cosmic law, right? That's the law of the land, and the fines that we have exacted unjustly shall be entirely remitted. Or the matter decided by a majority judgment of 25 barons referred to below in the clause for securing peace, which is 61, together with Stephen, Archbishop of Canterbury, if he can be present, and such others as he wishes to bring with him. If the Archbishop cannot be present, the proceedings shall continue without him, and if provided that if any of the 25 barons has been involved in a similar suit himself, his judgment shall be set aside, and someone else chosen and sworn in his place as a substitute for the single occasion by the rest of the 25. Okay, they're going to resolve that. They're not going to leave that unresolved. And who has to resolve it is these 25 barons, which is coming up. All right, number 56. If we have deprived or dispossessed any Welshman of land, liberties, or anything else in England or Wales without the lawful judgment of their equals, these are at once to be returned to them. A dispute on this point shall be determined in the marches by the judgment of equals. English law shall apply to the holdings of land in England, Welsh law in Wales, and those of the marches in the marches. The Welsh shall treat us and ours the same way, which means that we, our people, black people, should be judged by a jury of our peers, other black people who are from where we're from. It's funny because I think Dave Chappelle had a skit on that. People would be like, nah, they didn't commit no crime. That wasn't wrong. We have a jury of public opinion now. We talk about whether we think somebody was right or wrong, and then we come to a common discussion or response of whether they were right or wrong, and that's how it's supposed to be. And we never do that. I mean, that's never allowed. If you've been to court and you've been held under trial by who was not your peers, your actual peers, not the peers they made up, this was against the common law. Okay. Number 57. In cases where a Welshman is deprived or dispossessed of anything without lawful judgment of his equals, wishes by other Welsh, he's supposed to be returned home to be judged by his own people, okay? By our father King Henry or our brother King Richard, and remains in our hands or is held by others under our warranty. We shall have respite for the period commonly allowed to crusaders, unless a lawsuit has been begun or an inquiry had been made at our order before we took the cross as a crusader. But on a return from crusade, or if we abandon it, we will at once do full justice according to the laws of Wales and said regions, meaning they have to follow the laws of the people who they're judging. They have to follow those rules. And of course, the Gentiles never do this. Number 58. We will at once return the son of Llewellyn, all Welsh hostages, and the other charters delivered to us as security for peace. Meaning, if they really wanted peace with us, they would free all our hostages, and that's basically what they're trying to do by opening up all these jails. But that's not good enough. You need to tell us what the law is and why you're doing that, not just do it and then be like, we did it, we did it. No, you didn't, because you didn't tell people what the law was. All right, number 59. With regard to return of the sisters and hostages of Alexander, King of Scotland, his liberties and his rights, we will treat him in the same way as our other barons of England, unless it appears from the charters that we hold from his father, William, formerly King of Scotland, that he should be treated otherwise. This matter shall be resolved by the judgment of his equals in our court, meaning they have to bring in people who are of his equal. They can't bring in lower people or higher people. They have to be equals. Number 60. And that's something we should demand. They have to be equals, not, you know, this is why the courts are all messed up. They don't bring in people who are equal. Number 60. All and just because they're from the same area as you doesn't mean that they're equal. They specifically say here equals, not people who are from the same area. Especially for crimes. It's always equals. It's never just same area. When you're dealing with lawsuits, then it could be someone from the same area, but for crimes, it's equals. Number 60, all these customs and liberties that we have granted shall be observed in our kingdom, insofar as concerns our own relations with our subjects. Let all men of our kingdom, whether clergy or laymen, observe them similarly in their relations with their own men, meaning everything in this is to be applied equally throughout the kingdom. The entire kingdom, the entire realm, because they said realm several times. All right, this is the last bit. Number 61. We're almost there. Since we have granted all these things for God, for the better ordering of our kingdom, and to allay the discord that has arisen between us and our barons, and since we desire that they shall be enjoyed in their entirety with lasting strength forever, we grant to the barons the following security. The barons shall elect 25 of their number to keep and to cause to be observed with all their might the peace and liberties granted and confirmed to them by this charter. If we, our Chief Justice, our officials, or any of our servants offend in any respect against any man or transgress any of the articles of peace of this security, and the offense is made known to 4 of the said 25 barons, they shall come to us, or in our absence from the kingdom to the Chief Justice, to declare it and claim immediate redress. If we, in our absence abroad, the Chief Justice made no redress within 40 days. This 40 days is huge. Reckoning from the day on which the offense declared to us or to him, the 4 barons shall refer the matter to the rest of the 25 barons who may distrain upon and assail us in every way possible with the support of the whole community of the land by seizing our castles, lands, possessions, or anything else saving only our own person and those of the queen and our children until they have secured such redress as they have been determined on. Having secured the redress, they may then resume their normal obedience to us. Meaning, this is saying that the barons can seize everything that the kings have, every single thing until they get redress. They they can take it all, the whole thing, and then once they get their redress, then everything can go back to normal. Okay. Any man who desires may take an oath to obey the commands of the 25 barons for the achievement of these ends, and to join with them in assailing us to the utmost of his power. We give public and free permission to take this oath to any man who so desires. At no time will we prohibit any man from taking it. Indeed, we will compel any of our subjects who are unwilling to take it to swear it at our command. They're saying that they want everyone to take this oath, and they will compel their subjects to take it, to swear to take their stuff if they don't redress these public issues. That is serious. All right, next one. If one of the 25 barons dies or leaves the country, or is prevented in any other way from discharging his duties, the rest of them shall choose another baron in his place at their discretion, who shall be duly sworn as they were. So if anybody leaves, whoever is left, they pick the new people. In the event of disagreement among the 25 barons on any matter referred to them for decision, the verdict of the majority shall have the same validity as the unanimous verdict of the whole 25, whether these were all present or some of those summoned were unwilling or unable to appear. So basically, the majority rules of these 25 who are chosen and selected basically by the people. The 25 barons shall swear to obey all the above articles faithfully and shall cause them to be obeyed by others to the best of their power. They have to tell people to follow these laws, and they will make sure people follow these laws. We will not seek to procure from anyone, by either our own efforts or those of a third party, anything by which any part of these concessions or liberties might be revoked or diminished. Should such a thing be procured, it shall be null and void, and we will at no time make use of it either ourselves or through a third party. What they're saying is if they break any of these laws, they cannot use any of the rewards from these laws that they broke. Gentiles break this every day. Number 62, and we're almost done. We have remitted and pardoned fully to all men any ill will, hurt, or grudges that have arisen between us and our subjects, whether clergy or laymen, since the beginning of the dispute. We have, in addition, remitted fully, and for our own part, have also pardoned to all clergy and laymen offenses committed as a result of the said dispute between Easter and the 16th year of our reign, 1215, and the restoration of peace. And so this is what they have to do. They have to pardon everyone. That's the Jubilee. They must do it. In addition, we have caused letters patent to be made of the barons, bearing witness to the security and to the concession set out above, over the seals of Stephen, Archbishop of Canterbury, Henry, Archbishop of Dublin, and other bishops named above, and Master Pandulph. So what they're saying is they take full responsibility and they apologize for everything that they did wrong, and they want to make peace. This is what they're supposed to do. This is how the Gentiles are supposed to go. This is how you do it. Okay, number 63. And of course 63 is 9. So it was signed on 669. It has 63 clauses, which is 9. Just keep that in mind. So we got 4 9s fine here, okay? Just like I like my silver, 4 9s fine, okay? It is according to our wish and command that the English church shall be free. The church is you. That men in our kingdom shall have and keep all these liberties, rights, and concessions well and peaceably in their fullness and entirety for them and their heirs, of us and our heirs, in all things and places forever. You see how this is ever in all things and all places forever. That's forever ever. There's no going back on this. They can't break this. Period. Both we and the barons have sworn that all this shall be observed in good faith and without deceit. The above of Witness the above mentioned people and many others, given by our hand in the meadow that is called Runnymede, between Windsor and Staines, on the 15th day of June, in the 17th year of our reign, i.e., 1215. The new regnal year began on 28th of May. And that, my friends, is the Magna Carta. Now, I could go into great detail. Just reading this thing has been like shocking and amazing at the same time. And you can see why they don't want you to know that that's the common law. That's the common law. That's the common rules. That is the last set of rules that was established forever. And everything that they've done since then has been to undo this common law. And yet they cannot undo it. It is the most well established law in the world, and it governs everyone, as you saw, for all time. So everything that they're doing outside of this that breaks the Magna Carta and the cosmic law is completely null and void. The way that they're operating is completely null and void. And the power comes in our knowing. And now that we know this, we can and surely shall declare them null and void. And I'm looking at how we determine um our own what do they call them? Hold on, let me go back to here. Our own Article 61 barons. We need our own Article 61 barons for the nation, for our people. They're doing this already in London and stuff like that, but we need our own Article 61 barons. So that's my next question. How do we establish our own Article 61 barons? We need our own barons. We need our own group of 25 who make the decision yay or nay. And so we need to this is how you take back the kingdom. We don't have any barons currently elected to this position for our people. We need our own people, and maybe everyone else has their own group of 25, but we need our own group of 25. So that's going to be my next question of how we get our own group of 25, and we have our own group of 25 who are faithfully um, uh, uh, what is it they're faithfully titled to take this oath, and then we will demand that people take this oath, and pledge to do what's in this Magna Carta, because that is our law. That is the law given to us for our realm. They use that term realm specifically, not just and it wasn't just related to the England or whatever. They said everyone forever. Everyone. They knew there were people in other lands. They knew this is everyone. These rules apply to everyone forever in the whole realm. And so we need our barons. Where are our barons at? Where are our 25 barons? I'm going to be asking, the angels this question. Where are 25 barons? Who are these people? We need to know who they are so we can know who to address with our redresses so that they can do something about this. They are the ones with the power, and if they haven't been elected, then we need to elect them. That needs to be like our first step. We need a council of 25. We need our count 25, 2 and 5 are 7. Right. We need our council of 25. We need our council. We need to know who these are. And if they're angels, they're already selected. We need to know. We need to know who our barons are that can give us redress for our problems. And so, anyway, go back, read the Magna Carta yourself, get your own overstanding, and start thinking about these concepts, because this is our law. This is between the cosmic law And this right here, this Magna Carta, we have our law. We know what laws we are to be following now. We know what the rules are. They can't fool us anymore. We know what the rules are. And so once you know the rules, you're required to execute them faithfully. And me, for sure, I'm gonna be trying to do that ASAP. So to the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved viewers, you're invited to be at peace. And always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom.